What are some main reasons to the downfall of civilizations? Or what are some of the greatest threats to humanity? When we think of questions like these, we often think about plagues, deadly illnesses, or even pandemics. For me, for example, I think of the Black Death that wiped out millions of people in Europe, or even COVID-19 that affected the world several years ago. But there is one invisible threat that continues to affect both individuals and societies, which affects more people than any other disease or mishap in this world. Fear. Fear, the four-letter that suppresses people from taking action. An emotion that lets people give up on their dreams and aspirations of life as life continues to throw curveballs and tries to hinder you. It is one of the main contributing factors to the fall of main civilizations like the Ming Dynasty in China, or even the Roman Empire. As nations started to fear potential threats more than rely on the confidence of their own strength. Not only does it destroy nations, but it also impacts us as individuals. So to quickly share a little bit more about myself, I grew up in the States. I was born in Lincoln, Illinois, from the US of A. And when I was 9 years old, I moved to Chiang Mai, Thailand. And from grade 5 all the way up until my senior year of high school, I remember all throughout these moments and my childhood and upbringing that I was afraid of failure. I was terrified of rejection. I was afraid of looking bad in front of my peers or even bringing shame to my family. What if I had messed up? What if I said something wrong or offended someone? In many Asian cultures, including Thailand, where I grew up, fear isn't just personal, it's communal. You're not just afraid of failing, you're afraid of bringing shame to your family. You're not just scared of looking bad, you're scared of being the story people talk about or whisper about over dinner. And I couldn't bear that kind of negativity, that kind of pressure, that kind of weight. And so what did I do? I stayed quiet. I played it safe. I avoided anything that felt risky. Leadership opportunities, extracurricular activities, even finding potential new friendships, or even asking that cute girl on a date. And I remember times when I would have to even give presentations in my school with several of my classmates, and being so terrified of these moments that the day of, I remember waking up and asking my parents, "Hey, Mom, Dad, can you call the school? I don't feel well. I feel like I'm having a fever, I'm feeling sick." And of course, once they told the school, I didn't have class that day. I didn't have to go to school. And it felt nice at first. And the thing was, I played it safe. But the thing about playing it safe is you don't grow. You just survive. So how many of us in this room have experienced the same things that I've just mentioned? Being too afraid to raise your hand to ask for clarification in class, or participating in extracurricular activities because of fear of what other people might think about you. Or what about not wanting to try out for sports events, or asking out that cute girl or cute guy to the dance? Or better yet, even being afraid to open up to others because of fear that they will judge you. How about this? What about receiving pressure from your family because it would bring shame if you messed up? As I look back at my previous years, I continue to wonder what my life could have looked like if I did not let fear take hold of my life and control everything. Psychologists call this experience the Jonah complex. It was a concept that was first introduced by a famous man named Abraham Maslow. And he's a very brilliant psychologist of his era, as well as an influential and prominent psychologist that influences today. He came up with the famous Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And one thing that I like about Abraham Maslow is that he says we fear our greatness more than our weakness. We fear our greatness more than our weakness. So let me explain that a little bit more for you. Because many of us aren't just afraid of failing, we're afraid of how powerful we might become in the near future. Our future self might be bold, daring, inspirational, risk taker, somebody who changes cultural norms in society, who is a big advocator of change. These same issues and personalities might be something that threaten us and our own comfort. In 2017, there was also a study that was posted by a person named Gökhan Orden, who is working with college students. And in his study, he found out that students who have more fear and self-doubt scored lower on something called self-efficacy, or the belief in your ability to do hard things. And that same group of people also had lower emotional intelligence, which means that they couldn't manage stress well or even fear well. And so this created a brutal, ongoing cycle of fear, which then leads to hesitation, and then missed opportunities, and finally, regret. You see, as fear contributes to more hesitations to take actions that life presents to you, and then you miss out on all of these opportunities to grow, you start to regret this, and the cycle continues to go on and on and on, and it slowly chips away at our potential. So how do we break it? For me, it started with 2 daring and bold actions in my life. You see, once I graduated from high school, I wanted to pursue higher education back in the United States. And I had some family friends who were visiting Thailand for a little bit, and I was able to tag along back with them to travel back to the United States. And it was a great plan, but the thing is, growing up with family, very close with them, it is so hard to be able to leave everything that you have behind. And I was afraid of leaving my family, my home, and going to a distant place where people, their thoughts and their mindset and their culture is completely unique from what you are accustomed to. But I had to go. I had to excel. I had to improve myself and prove to myself that I could do this. And so I went. Another moment that I'd like to share with you was when I just got into college. We had a moment in one of our public speaking classes to present a 1-minute speech. And it was terrifying as I felt so anxious, wanting to vomit right before going up on stage just to present 1-minute speech. And I gave my speech, and afterwards, the public speaking professor wanted to speak with me after class. And he wanted to encourage me to consider going into public speaking as a major. And imagine with me for a moment, this was the exact opposite of who I was. A shy introvert who has a lot of social anxiety. It is so scary to introduce myself and meet new people. And with a personality like that, who in their right mind would ever consider doing that? Me. I decided to do it. And let me be honest, it was horrifying. I remember before each series of events fighting my inner thoughts and denials, having a crazy gag reflex on the journey abroad and speeches that I would give, and having so much anxiety from these uncomfortable moments. Even coming before you today, it is still terrifying as it gives me butterflies and feelings of uncomfort. But something changed after doing this. I survived. From a young child who was scared to venture out on his own and presenting in front of a class, skipping out on school for presenting in front of a class, to going into college away from family and being a public speaking major. I did it. And somewhere along that journey, I felt assured. It's like my brain flipped a switch. And I was saying to myself, maybe it is okay to be afraid. But in moments where you are afraid, you continue to press on past the fear. And these were the first steps to rebuilding my relationship with fear. Not as something to avoid, but something to directly walk through. And so what can we do to break this pattern? I want to give you 3 things that you can take away and use immediately. 1, identify your fear. Name it. Instead of saying something like, oh, I'm so scared about these things, why don't you rather say, I am afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of what people will think about me. Or I'm afraid of bringing shame to my family. You see, when you name your fear, when you expose your fear, fear loses power. And now you're facing your challenges. Second, build self-efficacy. 1 risk at a time. You see, self-efficacy isn't just a trait that you have. It's a habit. It's an action that you continually do. So try to challenge yourself up a little bit. In school, raise your hand in class if you don't know the answer to something or need further clarification. Or try out for that sports game like you've always been wanting to. Or better yet, even ask that cute guy or girl out on a date, even if they say no. Because every small victory that you do builds the belief that you are capable, even in fear. 3, don't aim for being fearless. Aim for being brave. You do not need to erase fear, because even the most influential people out there are always fearful. You will never, ever get comfortable, and you will never struggle with not having fear anymore. That's impossible. But when you have it, you just need to move forward despite feeling it. And that's real courage. That's how growth begins. We grow up hearing that we must honor our family, right? But here's something I want to say directly to each and every one of you. You honor your family not by being silent, but by becoming someone they can truly be proud of. You respect your culture not by hiding behind others, but by helping culture evolve. Friends, family, Obedience is easy. Bravery is legacy. Look, this stage isn't for people who have everything figured out. It's for the people who are still learning how to fight back fear. So I want to ask you, what is fear stopping you from doing now? And one more question, what version of yourself are you holding back just because it feels uncomfortable? You all were born with potential. But potential means nothing if you don't reach for it. Fear will always be there. But this time, it doesn't have to lead. You do.